make some more people mad, go ahead and start your keyboard comments down there. I love it. All right, guys, so for this one, I am going to have to go back into the impound area so that we can, I'll show you what we're doing. So I need to borrow a part off of this truck. I paid him 50 bucks to borrow it and said if it blows up, I'll give him my turbo and manifold, which is like $1,300 worth of shit. So, convenient. Oh, he locked. So, you guys know I'm running a VGT HE351 in my truck, HE351 VE. It's a variable geometry turbo. It's kind of a pain in the ass. The setup I have is super simplistic, but it's just, I don't know. It's not for me. So I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna snatch this turbo off of this early 3rd gen. So it's the smaller version. I really was looking for an HE351 off of the newer one, but this will just have to do. So I'm gonna snatch it off of this one and we're gonna see if I like it, and if I do, then we're gonna start ordering parts for a 2nd gen swap with an HE351 CW. So I'm gonna get this snatched off and hopefully this isn't too big of a pain in the ass. Also, I'll have to port that manifold. All right, we got the turbo off. There's the drain. I might try to snatch that, I don't know though. I mean, I shouldn't need it, but mine's actually hitting the motor mount. But hey, let me get this down, and he has a stock down pipe, so that thing's dinky. So we don't want anything to do with that. We got a 5-inch, close that. All right, so here is the turbo here. Like I said, obviously going to have to do the ports on here because these are round and the 12 valve is square, but there it is. I don't know, we'll see how this thing does, and if we like it, then we're gonna go with a 2nd gen swap. All right, so here we got it over here. I am going to get mine pulled off. I'm gonna do an exhaust sound to see just how much of a difference it makes, and then I'm also going to see how much of a difference it feels with this turbo over the other turbo. I'm assuming the other turbo will definitely hold and support a lot more power. This one's just a temporary until I get a HE351 CW, or maybe a little bigger, I don't know yet, maybe even a Cheetah, but I don't know. I'm gonna try this one, see if I like it on the 12 valve, and if I do, then I will go ahead and start throwing some parts together for the 2nd gen swap. So, and I know people are thinking, oh my God, you work on this thing so much. And you know what? You're not wrong. I don't even work on it because it needs to be worked on. Like, there's nothing wrong with the thing. I'm just bored. I've always been like this, so I'm gonna keep being like that. So there's mine. You guys can see the huge difference on the exhaust housing, the fact that it's VGT and so much bigger. So I'm gonna take all this apart, and shouldn't be too bad. Should not be too bad at all. I'll probably have this turbo off in 10 minutes where the other one took me like an hour. So all right, so apparently early 03 and 04s had a different downpipe. This was actually way smaller. You guys can see here this, no, not that one. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, so you can see how much smaller that one is. So what I had to do was take the flange off of this one, which doesn't fit on this flange because this flange up here is smaller and then the outlet's bigger. So this is cast iron to cast iron. I cleaned it up. So I'm gonna end up going around and welding it. I just put it back on the truck to make sure this is in the right position. And then, so I'm gonna finish welding this out. I also had to swap this fitting for this fitting. So, and then we'll see if we can't reuse this drain and salvage it and whatnot. So yeah, fun. All right, so anytime I want to do something simple, it always requires the welder. So we had to weld the piece on here, and then besides that and this guy here, this thing should bolt right on now. All right, so turbo is on. Just got to mount the exhaust up, and the line for the VGT actuator, I'm just gonna put it on this bolt here and then put like a hose clamp on it or something. And then apparently that wastegate actuator is bad. So I'm gonna see what it does on the way home, and if it's bad, I will probably just clamp the line. Apparently it wasn't building enough boost, or it was building too much boost, I don't know. If it's building too much boost, I'm fine with that. If it's not building enough boost, that's a problem. So we will see. So I just gotta put the exhaust up, and I gotta do that by myself, so that's gonna be a pain in the ass. And then we'll put the intake back on, plug my sensor in, and then I'll do the EGT probe at another time because everybody left. So all right, so these are the things that people don't generally show you when they put a downpipe on. But if you're doing this by yourself, I used a jack, part of a jack stand because this jack's really dinky, and then a ratchet strap. So the jack pushed it up against, you can see, let me show you. So I used the jack to push it up against the flange, but then when it went up against the flange, it wanted to go on crooked. So then I used the ratchet strap to bend it like this way, so that way it would sit flush, and then I was able to start putting the clamp on, tighten it down, and then that's good to go. So now I'm gonna loosen the clamp here. Hell yeah. This is the things that people don't show you. Now on a lift, this might be a little bit easier. I'm crawling underneath this thing and I don't have glasses on, so not exactly the most fun thing in the world. Now, as I let the downpipe and the jack down, it actually dropped the truck, so we were holding the truck up with this downpipe. So that's how sturdy that is. So that will not go anywhere. And then the welds, we shouldn't have an issue there, but I'm only gonna run this turbo for a few months, and then we're gonna do a second gen swap. So hopefully this thing sounds a lot better. Let's see, what don't we have on? So oil pressure, plug that in. I think everything's pretty much done. Everything's tight. I just have to plug that in. So I'll get the intake back on here in a second, and then we will fire this thing up. The sound that I am used to. That VGT really shuts this truck up. That's awesome. Okay, so now we do know that the VGT was what shut the truck up a lot. I really liked this turbo, but even with the vanes all the way open, it was not quite near this loud. Like, this is what I'm used to hearing the truck sound like. I'm gonna give her a couple more braps just because I'm loving it. Listen to this thing. Look at that. Yeah, that makes a big difference. Now we'll see how it performs. But yeah, I'm not gonna run this turbo for an insane amount of time. Just a little bit, and it looks like with the positioning on the downpipe, I may have welded it a little bit off. To the point where instead of it sitting like this, it's kind of like angled up, but now it doesn't hit the shock back there. So we'll see if that's a problem. I might try to slide this back down a little bit, which isn't a big deal. I can do that in any parking lot. Just loosen some clamps and slide it. So it's not a big deal. There is right there. So I'll just loosen that and then slide it. Okay, so honestly, I have no idea what the EGTs are gonna be because the gauge isn't hooked up. We're gonna see how it accelerates, see how much boost it's gonna push. From what he told me, it seems like it's not gonna be an insane amount of boost. Actually, it should be low. I will verify that. So, on top of that, I wanna see how loud it is. So, you know, as much as I love the 12 valve, and I thought when I had my common rail, I was gonna do a 12 valve tune, Unfortunately, I really cannot stand the clacking of the 12 valve. I don't know, I thought I'd like it. Oh, that's way louder. Duh, no shit. All right, let's see. Let's see how it accelerates. Holy shit, okay, so the boost, holy hell, the boost picks up way better than the VGT did. Whew, that picked up boost really quick, actually. Definitely noticeably louder. Let's see. 8 pounds. 18 pounds. 28 pounds. Holy shit. I hate to say it. The VGT turbo is great if you want to make a little bit more power than your stock turbo. I would also tell you to just get a factory controller, because what I was doing with that mechanical controller, this is spooling way faster. So it's still super quiet on the highway in the cab, so that's good to know. So we're gonna take off here and see how it sounds. So it definitely spools a lot faster, whistles a lot more. Also, it smokes a lot less when you're just trying to accelerate normally. So, and when you get into boost, it definitely smokes a lot more, but it smokes less when you're driving normally. So I'd say that's a win there. Yeah, I think we're gonna need a wastegate actuator like now, because I just have to I have to floor it for literally a second, and it's 32 pounds of boost. I'm kind of scared to hold into it, because I know damn well that this thing's pushing enough fuel to destroy that turbo and probably the head gasket. So I think some head studs or a wastegate actuator or just a whole new turbo is in the future. Like I said, I'm gonna floor it for like a second. Yeah, that was 34 pounds of boost. A little worried about that head gasket. Yeah, it spools like nothing. This is night and day over the VGT. So I'm gonna say, unless you get an actual controller for the VGT that's electronic and goes off of a back pressure sensor, it's not worth it, because I was doing what I was doing with that, and no, it doesn't work. And just normal driving, like acceleration, there's almost no smoke. Oh boy, oh boy. All right, so I don't know at this point. I told you guys I would make a follow-up video on this. So we're gonna get the truck started, we're gonna get out to the shop, and then I'm gonna go over an entire story on this whole Carlisle police thing. This one's a doozy. I'm a little annoyed. So let's see if this thing fires up. What's the temperature? I just got home at like 2 in the morning. It's like 10 o'clock now. 52 degrees. Let's see how it starts. It starts right up. All right. So you guys remember a while back, we got pulled over. The officer politely told me that apparently my license was suspended. And then we had to get the truck towed and all this, and then I got a fine, and you know, I went 2 days later and I got my license back. It was like a $94 fee for the for restoration or whatever, and then it was $25 to renew it, if I am correct. So it was like $94 and $25, okay? I went the next day to do it, and apparently they were closed, or they didn't do it at that location, and they were closed, so I had to do it the next day. So long story short, I got my license back, no problem. And then I went into the Carlisle Police Department, where they tell you to come in to pay the ticket. And I told them I was here to pay the ticket, right? And they told me that I should call PennDOT and make sure that that ticket is not going to affect my license, because it was a driving with a suspended license ticket. It's like 318 bucks. So I'm like, okay. So I waited, I went, I left, I called Pet, they gave me till Friday to do it. Mind you, it was Tuesday, so they gave me till Friday to get it in. So I called on Wednesday when they were open. They said, yeah, if you pay that ticket and you plead guilty, you'll lose your license for a year. So I'm like, okay, cool, that sucks. Then I went back to the Carlisle area, I told them that, and they said, yeah, then you'll want to plead not guilty to this, especially if you drive for a living. Well, obviously to get out to the shop, it's like 40 minutes. And not to mention that I drive, not like a lot, but I drive enough that it's not gonna work out. So I went in there, they told me to plead not guilty, I pled not guilty. They told me that it wouldn't cost me anything right now. Mind you, it's a $318 fine. They said it wouldn't cost anything right now, right? The judge will send you your papers for the court date. So, I'm like, cool. Week goes by, I get my papers for the court date. Court date is November 12th. Here we are. It is October 28th. And I get a letter in the mail stating that I have a fucking warrant because of an unpaid fine. I look at the fine, and it's the one that I'm in the middle of fighting. My court date hasn't even happened yet. They told me that I did not owe any money at the time that I am pleading, I put my plea deal in to plead not guilty. They told me I didn't owe any money. Now, they sent me a letter that says, we have a bench warrant for you because you didn't pay this. So I'm like, what the fuck kind of setup is that? Like, I'm okay admitting I'm wrong, okay? I went and paid everything, took care of everything, but at this point, like, I did everything they asked to, and I'm actually gonna call these guys here when I get to the shop, because I called last night, but it was like 4:58, and they were like closed, I guess. They closed at 4. So I'm gonna call them again today once I get to the shop. Also, they have my phone number. I have my phone number on there. They've gotten in contact with me. I've gotten in contact with them. And instead of just calling me like the Duncannon police do when there's an issue, the Duncannon police had my number on fucking speed dial. You know, ticket, big deal. You know, I'm not worried about that. I have never had this issue in my life. I've paid tickets for my tires and tint, okay? I've paid probably 15, 20 tickets in the last couple years of tires and tint. Not worried about it. All right, so I'm just gonna mash this probably all into one video. We did get everything taken care of with the legal situation, so we don't have to deal with no warrants or none of that. It turns out it was super quick and simple. Just a misunderstanding. So we got that taken care of. No one's going to jail. I still have my hearing, so I will do another update. I'll probably just throw it in a video when I get the court date, and I will let you guys know how it goes. It's like $318, which isn't the big deal. It's just the licensing. So I have to plead not guilty to it so I don't have to lose my license for a year. So we'll see how that goes. Loving the new turbo. So I'm gonna end up trying to find a the HE350 one instead of the HE340 one. We are gonna do a second gen swap on the 12 valve. So the problem I've been having, the reason I decided to get rid of the HE351 VE, the oil drain has to come down and go to the right because there is no oil drain in the back of the motor where it's supposed to be. So it's a really hard, sharp corner. So I'm like, hey, we'll throw a smaller turbo on it. I found one on an 03 on the parts truck, and unfortunately, it still does the same thing. So I was wondering if, you know, because the exhaust housing is huge on the HE351 VE, I was like, okay, so the exhaust housing on this one is super small. So I'm like, all right, let's try it. It still does the same thing, but I'll tell you what, it's a night and day difference. It spools better, faster, less smoke. Unless you're getting into it, then it's a lot smoky. But like if you're normal accelerating, it's really, really like no smoke at all. And it also sounds better, and the exhaust sounds better. So I'm gonna find the HE351, do a second gen swap with that. I already have a down pipe ready to be ordered, and I have the intercooler pipe ready to be ordered. So it should be about, I'm gonna guess like 800 bucks to do the whole second gen swap. So the manifold is the most expensive part. I can source these turbos for like $220 for a brand new one with a 1-year warranty. So I'm gonna end up doing that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what else you want to see. Not very much going on. I've been super busy, so sorry about that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good one.